Let's continue with the next topic, which is conditional statement if and else. And here is a little bit more complicated, but it's so easy. So what we have, we just learned how to use only if, but now we can use else as well. So what we have here is we will print this line because the expression is true. So this one will be printed. But what else does? Let me explain you. If this is true, this line will be executed, right? It will be executed. You already know that. So else will not execute it again. This line, so this line will be executed and this line will be skipped. And this here will be executed as well. We already know that everything out of the if block and else, because this one is one block, this one is one block, and this one is another. It's not related to if else. So this will be executed every time because the code is moving from top to bottom line by line. Okay, so let's see what else does. If we have this example here, what will happen? So we have here false. So what will happen? We will not enter here, right? We will not enter in the body, and this one will be skipped. Okay, and here is the else part. So if this is false, we will enter directly into else block and execute this line only when the condition here is false. Only in this case, we will execute this line. And as we already mentioned, this line will be executed every time. So let's go in Sikuli IDE and run these scripts and see how it works. So let's continue in our Sikuli IDE. You're already familiar with this piece of code. So if I run the script now, this line will be executed, this line will be skipped, and this will be executed, the last one. So let's run it and see. Run, and as you can see, run this line appear in output, and finally run this line appear as well. So what happens here? Let's explain again. So because this is true, this statement is true, it will enter in the body of the if, and else will not be executed. So this one will not be executed. And this, as we already mentioned, it will be executed every time because it is out of the block of the if else. Okay, so what will happen if here I put false? What you expect to happen? Let me explain you. First, what will happen is the condition is false, so we will not enter in the body of the if, so we will not enter here. Because we have else, the script will go directly to else and enter in its body, so we'll go directly and execute this line. And as well, we'll execute the last one, because it is not related to the if-else construction. So let me show you with real example with Sikuli. Instead of false, we'll put a Sikuli exist function, which require an image. So I'll grab again our clicked label. Okay, so now what will happen? If exists this label, the script will continue in the body of the if and will skip this one, else will be skipped. And finally, this line will be printed. Okay, so let's run the script and see what will happen. I'll rename first this clicked label exists. Okay, and here I'll write clicked label does not exists. Okay, and this line is printed every time. So now the label exists, so we'll enter in the body. Then we'll print this line, and this line here in the else will be skipped. Let's run the script and see. Okay, so our label exists, so we are in the body, and finally run this line. So this is the last line that is executed every time. So I can make it a little bit more easy to understand it. So I'll add, find this image, then highlight for 2 seconds. Okay, I'll run it again and see what will happen. So we're in the body and highlight the image. When we highlight it, we are on this line. So highlight is very important to debug the script. So what will happen if this image is not available? Let's reload it and run it again. I'll clear this and run. So we don't highlight the image, so we don't enter in the body. So let me explain. This image here does not exist on the screen. So we are not entering in the body. And we are going directly to else statement. So we execute this line. Then this line. It executed every time. And as you can see down, we printed just clicked label does not exist. So just this line and the final one. Okay, let me show you one more thing. If we reload this page and click label appear, what will happen if we put here if not? This is a little bit interesting. So what will happen here is first this exist function will evaluate to true because the click label exists. Okay, so it is true. But because we have not in front of it, it will convert it and evaluate it to false. So finally, we will have here false because we evaluate first this, then this. And what will happen? The if will be false, so we will not enter here and we'll go directly to our else body and print the statement from the else. And finally, of course, this one. Let me show you by running the script. Run, and we go directly to else body and then the final line. How cool is that? You have just learned to use Sikuli functions with Python. Thank you and see you on the next lecture.